Let's talk about the 4 hypers of ADHD. Let's go. Let's start with hyperactivity, since it is the H of ADHD, right? So hyperactivity technically is like a person who moves a lot, especially in situations where it may not be appropriate. It could be constant tapping or swinging your crossed legs when you are sitting down. And especially in adults, it can mean extreme restlessness or talking too much. Whew, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? This brings us to number 2, which is kind of the opposite end of hyperactivity. This is called hyperarousal and may not be talked about as often. Basically, somebody who experiences hyperarousal symptoms will typically find it difficult to turn off their brains, especially at night. A difference between hyperactivity and hyperarousal, however, is that hyperactivity is a little bit more external. Hyperarousal usually is more internal, if that makes sense. Next is hyperfocus. This is super common for folks with ADHD, and one of the ways that you can tell somebody is in a hyperfocused state is if they are literally laser focused on a particular project. It could be reading a book, or it could be working on a particular task or hobby. And the last one is hyperfixation. You may have heard that it's really common for folks with ADHD to have a new hobby or a new interest every other week. That might be exaggerating it a bit, but a hyperfixation can last anywhere from a day or several months or even up to a year. Basically, this is when a person is completely just enthralled and immersed in a topic or a subject or a hobby, something that is really, really of interest to them. A hyperfocus is usually in a shorter amount of time than a hyperfixation. Hyperfocus can usually last anywhere from an hour to 24 hours, but usually not any more than that, because you sleep, you break that rhythm. I hope this was helpful for you. Bye.